Hi guys, welcome to this week's The Counter Narrative. It's the antidote to woke with myself, Richard Willett. This is where we look at all the woke stories in this weird woke world and wonder why and how it got like this. This is all about moving the Overton window slightly across so you accept this madness and this nonsense as normal. And it's not normal. Not normal at all. You know that nuclear power? Are you friends with it? Do you like it? Well, at times, according to Counterpunch, it's a little bit racist, a little bit sexist, and often a little bit ageist. According to Linda at Counterpunch, her headline is, "Nuclear power is racist, sexist, and ageist. So why do some progressives support it?" Obviously, Linda doesn't like progressives, so she's tried to tie them to some accusations and at an inanimate thing. So why is it racist, Linda? The fuel for nuclear power plants come from uranium, which must be mined. The majority of those who mined them in this country would again under the new bill, such as the International Nuclear Emergency Energy Act of 2022, forwarded by not-so-progressive Democrats. So basically it's a political nonsense, this, obviously. But she says the reason why it's racist is because most people that mine them happen to be, or are, probably due to their location, Native American. So it's racist, nuclear power. Nuclear power is sexist because exposure to the ionizing radiation released at every stage of the nuclear fuel chain harms women more easily than men. So it's sexist. So it doesn't like African American or Native American women most at the moment, according to Linda. Women are more radiosensitive than men. Where she gets this from, I have no idea. The science is not fully on this. She just admitted, I don't really know because I read a bit on Wikipedia and then I put it in an article because I didn't really like progressives. Can we print it? So it's both racist and sexist, this nuclear energy. But not only that, not only does it not like African American women nuclear energy, it specifically and really doesn't like African American women who are elderly. Let's have a look at why. So, similarly, she goes on, Linda, to say in Counterpunch, the elderly are more vulnerable to the harmful effects of radiation exposure than adults in prime of life. Elders exposed to radiation are mainly to be found in the uranium mining and milling communities. What do you mean? There's old people there. There's old people everywhere, Linda. I don't know how old you are, Linda, but there's old people everywhere. That's what happens. I am getting older. I'm older now than when I actually started to read this, and I feel a lot older and slightly more senile than I did when I read your headline. Elders are exposed to radiation are mainly to be found in the uranium mining and milling communities, or where waste dumps are located, and are therefore more likely to be low income with poorer access to healthcare and fewer finances to pay. Are you saying, Linda, that waste dumps only exist in the poorer areas? What are you implying? That we have more waste? That's incredible. So that's the first story. So what is she saying by that? She's saying, basically, I hate liberals. Basically. And I'm going to blame something really stupid and try and sort of wedge a bit of climate change in there as well. So now nuclear power is both racist and sexist, and then add to that, it's also ageist. So we probably should all go over to renewable energy, shouldn't we, Linda? Because that isn't racist, sexist, or ageist. That likes everybody involved. Okay, and our next story gets even worse. So this is from Stonewall. Researchers suggest that children as young as 2 recognise their trans identity. What? How are they going to tell you? I've got a 2-year-old. This morning, he said bucket. And that was amazing. Or he said fuck it. I don't know. But he certainly wasn't thinking about his trans identity this morning. I guarantee that. He said poo at one point as well. Yet many nurseries and schools teach a binary understanding of pre-assigned gender. They would do, wouldn't they? Because they shouldn't even really be talking about binary and gender at their age, because they're 2. And really they should just be thinking about not sticking the stickle bricks up their arse, or not throwing them at each other, or trying to swallow the crayons, or drawing on the curtains, or putting Dairy Dunkers in each other's hair. They certainly shouldn't be worrying about understanding pre-assigned gender at 2, or even 4, or even 10, because they're kids, and let them be kids, and let them ask questions when they're ready, not having this nonsense forced on them because of your own madness. These things shouldn't be brought up with kids. I think we all know that. Anyone with a functioning cognitive brain understands that that's too young to be bringing up these subjects with a child. It's confusing, and it's dangerous, and it's absurd. But what this does, even if they've retracted that and added some elements to that to say, oh, what we really meant, that's out there now. So it's moving that over to a window, so these things are discussed, and eventually that becomes the new normal. But it's not normal, and we can't make it normal because it's absurd. So there is a quote from The Spectator here about that tweet from Stonewall. So the writer for The Spectator says, "Think by now it's becoming horribly apparent to parents of every political persuasion that we can't sit out the culture wars. You might call yourself progressive, loathe the Tories, but still, the ideological tide is rising, and when it laps at your own child's feet, everything changes. It becomes impossible to ignore the fact that gender activism these days isn't about gay rights or even trans rights. Absolutely, it's not about that at all. It's not about being inclusive. It's about presenting utter nonsense as plain fact. And that encapsulates the whole thing." And these 2 stories here, the previous one, nuclear power is sexist, racist and ageist. It's just stupid waffle, obviously. And in this one, 2-year-olds recognise their trans identity. It's nonsense. And of course it's nonsense, and we know it's nonsense, and we need to be able to laugh at it. And that's what this show is about. The antidote to woke is that we just laugh at this utter madness. It's got everywhere, this wokeism, and it's also got into comedy. It's completely ruined comedy, the woke mentality. And one of the big names of it is my virtue sickness superstar of the week, comedian Frankie Boyle. This is an article from Yahoo Life. Frankie Boyle says he hates comedians who claim to have been silenced. So Frankie Boyle doesn't have any time at all for comedians who claim to have been silenced due to cancel culture. Who cares, Frankie? Boyle said that his confrontational and controversial stand-up persona is an act. Yes, of course it is. The 39-year-old added, "I'm not one of those comedians who's like, oh, I've been silenced. I hate those people." As part of his set at the festival, Boyle defended people's right to be offended by jokes and suggested that his return to Edinburgh Fringe this summer features some gags that might get him in trouble. I doubt it. He told the new Prime Video show Backstage with Catherine Ryan that he has become terrified of social media and now often refrains from tweeting edgy jokes. So you've just said, Frankie, that you don't actually believe in the cancel culture as a real thing, and then you've just said, actually, I do censor myself in case I get cancelled. So my virtue sickness superstar of this episode is comedian Frankie Boyle. Thank you. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. This is The Counter Narrative, the antidote to woke with Richard Willett. Take care. Goodbye.